went to school, and when I came back to my place, my father was gone, and everything was gone, and my life changed since then.
So many friends who are afraid to even make a stance about people being illegally killed and deported for no reason because they're afraid they'll lose their job.
Actually, my country right now is free.
The world feels very unstable right now, more so than in times in the past that I've experienced. And so I was speaking with Monica the other day, and we wanted to sit down and have a conversation as artists, as creatives, about what we can do, what we're seeing, where we've come from, and what we want to do moving forward. So I'm here with Monica Moltó. She is an incredible photographer of Cuban descent. She does really amazing work. She recently showed at Art Basel.
Yes, I did. Just December. Mind-blowing. I've been here for such a short time that I just can't believe that this is life.
I can't believe that it's her life. She's so talented, and she has a lot to talk to us about today. So I'm honored and I'm excited, and every time I'm in your presence, I just feel happy and inspired about what we can create and what's going to come next. So thank you for that.
Yeah, feel the same way about you.
Stop. Okay, so talk to us a little bit about your history, kind of growing up in Cuba, what that was like. Any politics or anything that you want to share? Let's just get a little bit of background information about you.
Okay, so I only been outside of Cuba 3 years, I think, or 4. I left in 2022, so I'm very bad at math right now. Because
3,
time
is it 4? It's 26. So like
because it's
you subtract for COVID.
No,
it gets confusing.
It's get confusing because it's like I don't think about how many years has passed, but the time that has actually passed and how many things I've been doing since I left is insane. So I don't feel years like before. I feel when you live in Cuba, especially like right now, time feels very, very heavy. So you feel the years and months that it lasts forever. And here in New York, it's actually quite opposite. So I actually feel that I did both extremes.
I mean, to get creative in this economy, I feel like anyone's a little bit insane. So there's a lot of insanity in the world, you know? Like there could be worse times. So.
Yeah, I feel like I get so tired of so many limitations that you have literally nothing into now 3-4 years later, I find myself here speaking English and just creating art and making life like, not like nothing happened, but it's very hard to just keep going when you know where you came from and how the situation is, especially now.
Definitely, and I think that's something we should definitely touch on because, of course, there's instability and fascism, like rising in the United States, but there's a lot of stuff that's happened in Cuba's history, and I'm sure things that have happened while you were living there. So growing up in Cuba, how would you say that's different from life in New York and the United States? You talked about the passing of time, but I'd say like politically, socially, what kind of constraints were there that you think would be a little
Okay, funny thing that you asked because as a life, emotion, I kind of feel the same way because it's like both extremes get together.
Yeah.
Because you connect with the freedom. So funny that I am about to say this, but my personal opinion is that actually my country right now is free. It's under a dictatorship because the government sucks. People are so incompetent. They have no idea, like communism sucks. Everything sucks. You have nothing because you were so focused in everybody have to, that's the thing, that this kind of systems makes you believe that everybody has the same mind. And yes, it's actually very beautiful, and there is a lot of things that I'm agree on, that everybody is a human being, which everybody has to deserve to treat the same way. And I believe in equality, and I believe in all that. But there is something about that system that it tricks you, and people always gonna push you down instead of going up. So you feel insecure about everything, and that's the thing. That's the part that you feel that you have no freedom, because as an artist, as a creative person, I wanna speak more. I wanna create and share my personal opinion, and it has nothing to do probably with politics, because I have values and I have emotions and I have a story and memories like everybody does. And when you live in a place that is so damn straight like that, with one opinion, everything turns in politics, and people just want to put you down, and people judge you for thinking differently. So that's the part that I have to run away from it, because I've been bullied my whole life. I feel that I've been like bullied my whole life.
Yeah.
So now, since I live here, I feel I have that, freedom of speech that I can just be myself. But it's also tricky because then you feel very, very lonely.
Yeah, I could see that. And it's funny that you mentioned you feel like it's different here in the States, because I think sometimes it can be very similar.
It's very similar.
You have the freedom to speak, but at the same time, we're still so divided. Things are split so down the middle, right? You take one side or the other, there's no other answer. And I travel a lot, and I've seen like a lot of my friends in Europe, like in France, for instance, like you'll have one guy who's liberal, one guy who's conservative, and like they'll banter for hours. They don't hate each other. They can sit down and have a conversation and completely disagree.
Yeah.
But I think in the States, it's very different. And I hope that that's something like we can move past. And that's something that I'm really passionate about is bringing people together to have those conversations.
Yeah.
Because what's the point of having a free country if you can't speak freely?
No, that's the part. That's the part. That's really the part that gets tricky. I think freedom comes with the freedom of speech, and you are allowed to have your opinion. Mm-hmm. So that's why for me it's kind of tricky when I said that I feel also that my country is free. Because when I mean about free, it's that you are actually willing to do everything, but you have no material things. There is a embargo and blockade also going on that is under all the limitations in the world. You barely have internet, you barely have stuff. But that's the thing, under all that negative bump of layers, you have the freedom of complain and blame the government for everything. And you say, fuck this and fuck that, and you just literally go ahead and you just be yourself because you have nothing left. So you carry this courage of, I don't care about anything because the world is collapsing, and I'm able to be myself because I have nothing else to lose.
Yeah.
So that feeling, I feel that my country still has it. But yeah, so I don't know, I feel everything is kind of like the same.
I was going to say, it's like,
because here you feel the same way too,
it's
so it's kind of like...
We have expensive coffee and like all these other things, but like kind of still some of the same problems. And I don't know, I think it's something that we see in a lot of different parts of the world. And I think sometimes in the States, and people will disagree about this, but we masquerade under this idea that we're free and we're great and all these things, but it's not really. There's a lot of things that are hiding under the surface. And so I appreciate when you can see a place or a culture where like we're bringing it to the forefront. And I think that's something that artists are really responsible for doing and creating with their work, because we're kind of shaping the narrative in a way that's free of restraints. Like we can, I'm going to say we can do whatever, but we kind of can when it comes to our art. And so how have you used your art to really talk about Cuba and to showcase your culture and your heritage?
So I became a photographer during COVID, and I spent those 2 years, because it was 2020 into 2022, doing art. Because that's the thing, I didn't have anything else. I barely have internet, I barely have food, I have barely also electricity, so I'm like, I'm going insane because I wanted to leave. I was planning to come to this country since I can remember. Since I actually have 14, I started to just prepare myself for it. And it was hard. It was like a long process. And leaving all that and knowing that I was about to leave at some point, because I was waiting for paperwork to happen for me to just come here. I think that I developed that creativity of already feeling nostalgia without leaving. And especially in that moment that everything was like limited and stuff that were already bad, but it gets way worse. Because then control has the best excuse. It was COVID. So it's like, oh, I need to protect you because it's your health. Yeah. So no, like, you're not, 2 years later, you don't allow me to just go to Malecon and just smell the sea. I have to smell the sea with a mask on. I don't know, it was like stuff happening that it makes no sense, and people would just like go to prison for nothing, go to jail for nothing. Because if you are just in the streets and you're not able to just cross this, just they take you. And you get into a point that you are not able to get out of your house or speak because you cannot do anything because everybody's gonna come and control you or gonna tell you otherwise. Yeah. So I said, I'm gonna do art. I wanna do photography, and I started just to I was feeling so bad. But at the same time, I feel that my country is so beautiful. And it has so many things to be creative. Because that's the freedom of art that you just you have nothing, so you create. And I started to just photo shoot my sister and my friends. And I found them so beautiful. And as a woman, I find everybody so beautiful. And sometimes we feel so insecure, especially when you live under those circumstances. When everything starts to be difficult, you're starting to feel insecure about yourself a lot because you have nothing, or you care for stuff that you don't have them. So you're starting to feel like, oh my God, if I don't have food, how can I just feel beautiful? How can I just look at myself in the mirror and have makeup on if I don't know, I'm not gonna have electricity in 3 hours? You know what I mean? So for me, my mental state and my friend's mental state, I just started to play like we were kids. It's just like, let's just do portraits and let's just play with makeup and just, hair and fashion and just do things. And then all of a sudden I find myself just doing that, and it goes on. And then 2 years later, I just did, 2 years of solid out of my country, and then I left. And now I'm looking back 3 years later, I don't even know anymore. I barely have memory for all the stuff that happened to me since I left.
That's fair. It's all a blur.
But I find that so valuable because even those people that I shot and all the stuff that we did, they're not in Cuba anymore because everybody left. On those 2 years was the biggest wave of Cuban immigration. So basically, it's like also to see my country just like disappearing. Everybody's leaving, and nobody takes care of anything. So it's very sad. And I'm like, I think the photography was the best tool for me to have in that moment, to say I'm gonna photograph this, and this is gonna remain as it is for me. So I left with all that information, and now I'm like 3 years later, trying to be a little bit braver and start to speak out and share more my art and all the process that I did.
Yeah. I mean, first, I just want to say, I already think you're brave enough. I think you've been brave this whole time. I think we put so much pressure on ourselves sometimes to feel like we need to do more or be more. And I think everyone does that in the timing that feels right to them. I think if you're already thinking about these conversations and these topics, that's already proof enough that you're doing the work you need to do. And I say that as well to anybody who's watching who feels overwhelmed by the state of the United States and everything that's happening with ICE and in Minnesota and all over the world. And so you know what you need to do, and no one's here to tell you what you need to do, or what's too much or what's not enough. And so I think that's something that's also worth talking about, is this fact that like you do it in your own time, and what time feels good to you, and your voice is your voice, and no one's going to protect you and stick up for you the way that you can yourself. So you really have to take that into consideration. But I love something that you mentioned, which is about the importance of being in that present moment and pulling yourself back down to that. And I remember we talked about this, and you said something to me like, you can never recreate a feeling. It only happens once. So you can either capture it, you can be in it, you can try to do both, but it's going to disappear. And this is something I struggle with so much. And one of the reasons I love art, like, I'm so obsessed with The Handmaid's Tale right now. Have you watched it?
I haven't yet.
I don't know why. Like, I'm so late to the game. Like, people were really on top of it a couple of years ago, but I am obsessed. Like, I cannot put it down. And I will stop and rewind. Like, there's a moment that I really, like, connect with. I'll stop and rewatch it, like, 5-6 times because I'm like, no, it went too fast.
Yeah.
Like, I need to feel it. I need to feel it again. Like, I don't want that moment to stop. But I think that's so beautiful with photography, that you're actually actively thinking about this as you're taking the photo. Like, is this something I want to capture? Is this something I want to feel? You really can't do it all, so you really have to make that choice. And how do you distinguish, like, what feels right to capture, what you kind of leave to the side? And do you ever have any regrets, like, oh, I wish I had experienced this instead of capturing?
Yes, a nice question. I feel emotion. When I feel myself and I feel excited, I'm like, it comes alone. Like, by himself, which means that, I grab the camera instantly, or I go with my phone and I do this.
Instinctual.
Yeah, it comes by itself. It's just like, this moment, I need this moment with me, so I go and capture it. But my art is more about planning at some point, because it's just like I have to arrange photo shoot. I'm not like freestyle. I've done a street photography, but I take it with me with the people that I want to shoot. I feel emotions and beauty in humans, and when I meet someone, I feel like, I feel such a beautiful connection with you. I want to shoot you. And then I will plan that photo shoot, but not with like too many details, because I want to the present be the present, but at the same time just arranging the details that we need to just go through it. And sometimes, feel personality is so interesting that I just want to like get that even more out of yourself, so you can see yourself over a mirror. Like, I know that this is who you wanna be and you are already, but then the way that I see it maybe can be a little more, so let's work on that. And that's part of like the thing. So I love movement, and I love just like do this even before a photo shoot, just like talk to the people, go for a coffee, because you don't know the person. And I feel that when you don't know, you also are like trying to protect your feelings and yourself, so you are not 100% vulnerable with someone, with a stranger. Yeah. So as long as you get connected by speaking and with time, people feel more comfortable, so they are more open to be themselves if they feel it. So I'm trying to get that dynamic, even that I have probably a creative idea to explore.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I think it's really all about relationships.
Yeah.
And I know whenever we shoot, you're always like, oh, let's dance together. We're dancing. And I feel that when I'm with you, but it took a while to get to that level of comfort. And I think everybody is different. And so I love that you really try to emphasize that in your shoots and everything that you do.
Obviously, living in Cuba, there was a lot of controversy around communism, Fidel Castro. So did your family have any connection with that or with any of the government or the policies, and how did it impact your life?
Okay, tough question. They are not related with it, but everybody is kind of related at some point in Cuba, especially if you are successful. Because in that place, when you actually are successful, you have to like, that's the government, that's the state, and we are very slow. We are, as long as we feel that we are very big, we are islands, so everything is connected and everybody knows each other. And no, I'm not related to them, but I had a very tough situation in my lifetime. My father went to prison when I was 12, and so he was working completely fine, and he was being successful, and then all of a sudden 2010 Castro took them away, and he disappeared for 4 years. So he went to prison. We know that where he was. It's not like, oh, he disappeared, we didn't know. But yes, like I couldn't, one day I was in high school and I went to school, and when I came back to my place, my father was gone, and everything was gone, and my life changed since then. And since then I've been struggling. So it kind of felt like a very impact trauma that I didn't know that was gonna happen. And the thing is that he did nothing wrong. He was just working. Yeah. So they took a lot of time to even give him, like look for evidence to how to blame him, looking for a mistake, because they didn't want them. They didn't want him because he was being successful. He was just being normal. He was just like working hard,
to the government,
taking care of the family, taking care of everything. And that for me, my life when I was a kid, my childhood was very, 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 very special. I feel very lucky because I don't feel that there is a lot of Cubans that will have that experience, but that's the thing that I'm carrying now, because I had such a special life that also happened. Yeah. And after that, all my family immigrated. Actually, everybody lives in Miami now, the majority. My sister lives in Mexico.
So you're the only one who picked I was gonna say, you're the only one who picked a cold location to relocate to. Yeah. It's a brave decision.
Yeah, because it's been hard for me to find myself after that. All of a sudden, my mom just like look at me into my eyes and say, your father's gone. And my father was everything that I had. Yeah. He was really the leader. So after that, how can I just live like nothing happened? Living under a system that nobody can know what happened, because you cannot speak to anybody, you cannot share your opinion, and everybody always will judge you. And probably this video will be very, very, very judged. But that's what life is. And I learned that New York gave me the courage to say, I believe in myself.
And we believe in you.
So.
And I think something so beautiful about you and your connection to Cuba is, even though things have happened related to the government and policies there, you still are so proud of your country and you love your country so much. And I think that's something to speak about as well, that when you say your country is free, to me, freedom is being able to criticize and dislike and vehemently oppose certain things, but at the same time, your culture, your people, your family, this is where you're from, and you should never be forced to take a whole, like an overarching stance on something like that. And so I really appreciate you sharing your story, and thank you for that.
And I like your way how you see freedom. Maybe that's why I feel so weird, because I don't know what freedom is, kind of.
I don't think anybody does.
What is freedom? Like, yeah, I feel like everybody can have a personal opinion of what freedom is.
I agree. And when I think about it, I mean, I used to, at a very naive young age, being Slavic American but born in America and in New York, which is very different than the rest of the country, I was like, of course America's free. I'm white, like it's easy for me to say that, right? And it's like, are we free? Like, some things, yeah, but other things, there are problems. I can't think of a single country where everything is perfect. I don't think anything ever will be.
Yes, exactly.
And that's an overgeneralization, but at the same time, I don't really know what freedom looks like. And I think freedom might be different for everybody. Is it the ability to go out in the street and like feel safe, or it's safe for me to leave the house? Because even some days I don't feel that way in certain parts of New York. Even like, I remember like after the Trump election, I didn't feel safe like going out in public. I live in Staten Island, so it's very red, and I didn't feel as safe around the people that were near me because I just feel like there were little things happening that made me uncomfortable, really just like men and women. And so I don't know. I don't know if there's a right answer. And I think
maybe freedom is, since you're saying all that, I feel like maybe freedom is the place where you are actually yourself. When you feel that you can be yourself under the circumstances of the country. It doesn't matter where you are.
Yeah.
You can right now go to Spain and feel completely different and feel like, I don't feel free. I need to go back to America. Or maybe no, maybe I will just go and try Australia. Or maybe just go and, I don't know, whatever. Because like wherever, it's of what you need as a person.
I agree.
Is when you actually gonna find freedom.
I agree. 100%.
Right? I don't know.
It's hard. I think everyone has a different experience. And I think in the United States, we look at it as being, and it's interesting because there's so many different like social and economic systems. I mean, even communism, like there were calls for it. I mean, Slovakia was communist for a very, very long time when it was Czechoslovakia. Yeah, exactly. And so there were people that loved it, there were people that hated it. And so now we're democratic in the States, but there's a lot of problems. There's a lot of issues going on. And so, I mean, even to me, hearing stories about you saying your dad just being taken to jail, I mean, kind of very similar to what's happening in the States right now with ICE. So yeah, it's exactly the same, right? And so we can call the government system whatever we want to call it. We can call ourselves a democracy. We can call ourselves a first world country. But at the end of the day, are we? When the same things are happening at different places all over the world, but we're stereotyping one or critiquing one, but we're not critiquing the other, right? And so I think there needs to be more calls and like more awareness around this. And I think that's why seeing the similarities is so important. And at the same time, my family is Slovak American. It's the same thing where you feel, even though I was born here, my parents weren't. So there are people out there who will be like, well, you know what, if you don't like it, just leave. Just leave, just go somewhere else. Yeah. I mean, it's not that simple when this is your home, this is your country, this is where you're from. And then when you're in between two different places, it makes it almost harder. Yeah. It's very complicated.
Especially when you start feel disappointed. I feel that's the part when you actually, everything start to be not free at all. Because as soon as you start to just get disappointed over the system, or you feel that your life is not moving further, but actually going backwards, it's something you have to be aware. And you have to do something about it. And you have to find yourself no matter what the situation. And you have to find your power. And how powerful you can be. If your power is just to go to work and just be back home and take care of your family, just focus on that, because that's the only thing that you can just do.
Exactly.
Or if you actually you are more skills and you can just do more and share, you do it. Or I don't know, you just be creative, be human. I think be yourself. That's literally the most important thing ever.
I love that. I think be human is important, and recognize that everyone's human. And I think we put a lot of judgments on others when we need to focus on ourselves and what we can do as people rather than as a society. Because as people, we build up into that society, right? And that gives me a little bit more hope. Even if it's a small action every day. My parents moved to Florida. Florida is very red. Very, very red. There are more New Yorkers moving down there, but their area is very red. My dad is a very liberal Democrat. He founded like a Democrat club in his like community in Florida. And we went, and I was feeling like, I don't want to go. Like, there's so much going on with ICE and Trump, and it just makes me so uncomfortable. And I was like, maybe that's the exact moment I need to be here, because it's uncomfortable and it's weird, but we need to be talking about this. We can't keep separating even further. And I think sometimes, even like from my Slovak family, a lot of Slovakians tend to be Republican as well because of communism and everything that they experienced in their home country. And it feels like I can never say the right thing. It's never enough. And I see that in the States as well, where when my parents moved down there, they had a neighbor and they were like, oh, you're from up north? Leave your politics up there. Don't bring anything here. I was like, excuse me, sir, like they're paying their mortgage. They can do whatever they want.
That's when the country stops being free.
Exactly.
If you accept that. If you start to be afraid of the people saying that you can and you can't, and you stop like not choosing you because someone else is telling you otherwise, that's exactly the moment you start not to be free.
Oh my gosh, I have like chills because it's so true. Yeah. It's even the idea that I have so many friends, I went to business school, so many friends who are afraid to even make a stance about people being illegally killed and deported for no reason because they're afraid they'll lose their job. Like, just let that sink in for a minute. You're afraid that you could lose a corporate job for an opinion on human rights. That's bizarre. How free are we at that point? It doesn't feel very free, and I think that's just something to keep in mind. And I'm not saying that you need to go overthrow the system right now and lose your financial income. Like, that's how you sustain yourself. I'm saying that's a problem, and that's something we need to be talking about.
Especially in a place you need to work very hard to get everything.
Exactly.
You have to work hard because you have to pay rent, you have to pay your food, you have to pay everything. So that's also the part that I feel tricky, because in Cuba, we have our own house. We own our own home. We have, the health is not doing great right now because everything is collapsing, but we do have doctors and people. If you have some issue, you go, just like in Europe. You have, I don't know, you don't have to pay so much for the things, and here in America you do, because that's the difference of systems. That's a capitalism kind of way that also allows you to be free, and that's for me what freedom also becomes, because you have to be able to say, I'm worth it, and I need to work hard to get what I want. And my country doesn't provide that. My country provides another things, another way of thinking. So when actually in this country, in this system that is so hard to get something, it's so hard to just actually come here and do this. How long we have to plan it, how long we have to work to pay for the things that we need to be able to be ourselves at some point, because we are always like, but you can. So it's the amount of effort that you have for yourself, and you do it, and you can, because you have all the choices in the world, and that's the American dream that we cannot actually miss. And then when all this system and all this stuff with ICE and people just like being insecure of themselves happens in a place that you have to work very, very hard to get your rent and to get your food and to take care of your family, it's dangerous.
It's really dangerous, and I think
it's dangerous. It's slightly dangerous with freedom.
And the idea of the American dream, it's a dream. Is it real? I mean, people go their whole lives working, and I saw it with my parents, I see it with my friends' parents, and people who have even less than we do, and you work and work your whole life, and then you die. And then were you able to enjoy? Maybe your kids can, but at that point, I mean, the state has become so crazy. I mean, things are constantly, like, prices are rising, things are getting crazy. People are operating, especially if you're coming from another country, you're an immigrant or a refugee, and you're flooding and fleeing into the United States, you have a very, like, chaotic nervous system. You're always living in survival mode. Horrible. And it's hard to turn it off. And I feel, especially in New York, a lot of the big cities, everyone's living in survival mode, to the point where it's like any small inconvenience, and it's even for me, it's like the stupidest things, it'll send me in a spiral. So then you throw in like the weight of the world on top of it, and you don't know what to do. And I think that's also a big problem that we need to fix, is learning how to actually live and find that joy without constantly like pushing, if that makes sense. Like, because I always, it's such an immigrant thing. It's like, and it is, it's a mindset. And I think like people don't always realize that if they're, I don't want to like generalize, but like first, second gen, it's different than like if you've been here for generations and you have like some Italian descent. It's different. Like the mindset is different. The way that you live your life is different, no matter where you're coming from. And I think you bring that to the United States, and I think we capitalize on that as a society. Yeah. Like, we know what people are looking for and what they want, and then we're like stripping it away layer by layer. At least before, it was like covered up and pretty, and you saw it in Hollywood, and it felt good. And now we don't even have that sense of pride in the country because of the things that we're seeing happen to our immigrant communities. Yeah. And so, and then being a Slovak American, it's so hard to speak out about my culture, about my people. I'm Slovakian, but I'm American, but I'm not Slovak enough, but I'm not really American enough either, and people don't understand my culture. And it's kind of like, but you're white, you look like us, like you don't look like you're from somewhere else, but like other people are like, but you do. And so it's just this constant noise where I'm like, sometimes I don't know who I am, and I don't know how to express that to people without getting constantly attacked from my own culture, my own people, where I should feel safe.
Exactly. And I feel that that's actually, I don't know, I feel the same way. I'm a Cuban, and also my family from my father's side come from Spain. So I'm Cuban and Spanish. And I grew up also in Cuba, trying myself to protect from the doctrine. It doesn't get into my head, so I can just move forward, because my dream was to come to this country and make my dreams come true. So I always also felt that American culture inside, like literally grew up with Hannah Montana. So
we love Hannah Montana. I mean, Hannah Montana is as American as it gets.
Exactly. So it's just like, I feel connected with that, what you just said. And I feel that that's also part of being here and being American. You are actually from everybody over the world, especially in New York, that everyone is from everywhere. You come and you make your life here and you start over, especially when you have grandparents or you have parents, or even yourself if you come and born here or you came when you were 3. It's like that immigrant feeling. Even though that you are born and bred, you feel that you are not from here, but at the same time you are. And that's the insecurity that connects us all and makes this something, because it's of course also, that push of the American dream of to be yourself and work hard and hustle comes from that, because as soon as you start doing things, you're starting to see who you are.
Yeah.
Not in your mind because you come from a culture or from a history path or from a even political or a religion that allows you to just do that only. Here it's just like that freedom is so cruel that you have no choice. You just have to be brave.
Yeah.
It's good because it's just like, I feel Cuba is becoming American soon.
I feel like America is becoming Cuba soon. So
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
I think at some point, we're just going to be the same anyway.
Merge, who cares about Greenland? Let's just go to Cuba. That's what it's giving.
See, that's why I do art. That's literally why. It's just like this, you will never know. So it's just like, for me now, it was like, you know what? Just let's do photos. Yeah. And let's be beautiful, because this doesn't last. And every day we are older, and someday we're gonna die. That's it. So it doesn't matter what situation, what war we live in, what kind of rhythm are we live in. We're gonna die and everything's gonna be forgotten. Or who knows what's gonna happen after, but as long as we're here, let's just trying to be better on ourselves and respect everybody's opinion, I feel, because I don't know about you, but I feel like the world is just also moving forward so fast, and
it's too fast.
Technology and AI now that also has opinions, and you can also, I feel the respect from anybody's opinion now is way more important than ever.
I think so. And I think that's a really good point. I think it's a good thing to close on. We're so frustrated with technology and the way things are moving so quickly. We want things to be more human, but we're not accepting our humanity. We're not making space for that. There's a reason AI is coming and taking over. Of course, there's big tech, there's corporations, there's money invested in it.
Yeah.
But if you want humanity to survive and you want to feel human, you need to act human. You need to listen. We need to speak. We need to have original thoughts. Even if you think it's stupid, just share it. We just need to live and find joy in that. And try to be a good person. It feels so simple, but
it's the hardest thing.
Follow your heart. In your heart, if you're not a narcissist, you know what feels right.
Yeah. I
Just
think
do
also
it.
to be human is also to allow yourself to make mistakes.
Oh,
Because we have that perfectionism that we come since forever, especially in school, or if you come from a religious, path. We are so into our minds, thinking that we dream to be this huge person, or this, that you value yourself higher in your mind. And then as soon as you do something, that's why you feel insecure, because you are like, no, I'm not good enough as I feel that I am in my brain. And that perfectionism, it gets you, and when you feel insecure is when you actually don't stop respecting people you start judging, and then you start to be jealous because you are insecure about yourself, and then envy also comes along, and everything is so like negative over and over. But if you actually do quite the opposite, and it's like, you know what, I'm human, I'm gonna fail. I'm gonna come, and if I wear heels, my feet can hurt probably in 2 hours, but I'm human. I'm able to have pain in my feet and feel beautiful because, I don't know, it makes me feel confident when I do it. But if I want to also, I can just bring another person's shoe in my purse, and I can judge it whatever I want to, because who cares? Like, who cares what you think? And that's the thing. Nobody cares. And then as soon as you speak, people will treat you better, because you are like, finally, you are being yourself. And that's why people appreciate it. That's actually when you can find love. And love is just like the most important thing.
Yeah. I want to end on that. Like, who cares? I think we care too much about the things that don't matter and not enough about the things that are human. And so I think moving forward as a society, as creators, as artists, we just need to really lean into our intuition and do what feels right, and just focus on that humanity.
Yeah. Let's make more art and peace.
Woo!